I feel like I was the only one who watched the film Dinosaur. A 2000 film created by Walt Disney, Dinosaur is a very unique film. As a kid who loves dinosaurs and animation, this film was perfectly up my street. And still to this day, I still have my own Aladar action toy. And while Dinosaur is far from the perfect movie, it's definitely a film worth talking about for its incredible animation, memorable soundtrack, and for a dinosaur fan, it's a classic. Hi there, it's me, the Average Critic. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's talk about Dinosaur, a film ahead of its time. So if you've never seen Dinosaur, the film is about an iguanodon called Aladar who is adopted by a family of lemurs. And after a meteor destroys their home, it becomes a survival adventure of trying to find their nesting grounds. It's a mix of Jurassic Park meets Land Before Time. So I haven't watched this film in years, and I very much got the idea to review it after watching the Lion King remake and thinking about how realistic the animation is, but it is also hindered by the lack of facial animation on the characters. Here in Dinosaur, a film from 2000 by the way, does something Disney didn't pull off as successfully until the Jungle Book remake, where 3D animated characters are placed into live action backgrounds, and it does so incredibly well. Some characters, most notably the lemurs, have definitely not aged well, most likely because of animating fur, which at the time was incredibly difficult to do. But all dinosaur animations look brilliant, even by today's standards. And something I wish the Lion King remake had looked at is that all the dinosaurs have incredible facial animations. No characters look exactly the same, from Kron, Bruton, and Aladar. All characters look individual and expressive. Mix that with the live action background, it creates this beautiful and realistic look at the film that is gorgeous to watch. The animation all feels seamless, character animations blend incredibly well and don't feel out of place. This film was made to be a much more realistic take on a dinosaur animated movie, and it very much succeeds. It even does so in its story. The story of Dinosaur is a simple one, in that it doesn't have much in terms of themes. There are emotional moments such as Aladar sensing he's alone when the courtship is happening, and of course the destruction of their home has some of the most beautiful cinematography I've ever seen. Dinosaur isn't asking you to invest in much, but it asks enough of you that you enjoy the characters and the story. In a much more realistic way, Aladar isn't looking for love, he's looking for a companion to procreate with. This film goes much more realistic, and that the characters act like, well, dinosaurs, because they are dinosaurs. They need food, water, and to stay away from carnivores, and it kind of matches the animation style. I'm making it sound like this is a bad thing, but it's honestly not. The more realistic storytelling and the characters' needs and wants keep the story on track, and it stops it from being boring. It does unfortunately mean you're not as heavily invested in the story, but had they gone the opposite route, the tone of the movie would feel very, very off. Its characters are fun and likable, and its story is basic but easy to enjoy. A sort of plain chocolate bar, if you will. You wish you had something more going for it, but you still enjoy a good classic chocolate bar. Despite the film's more realistic style, it does bring the film down slightly, as there isn't a massive running theme in the movie. There are bits scattered around about working together and the ideology of not sacrificing the few to save the many. But that isn't the point of the movie. The movie, in simple terms, is about dinosaurs, about survival, making this film much more interesting to someone like, well, me, because I love dinosaurs. If you were never interested in dinosaurs as a kid, then this will not be as appealing to you, because it really is quite a simple story about dinosaur survival instincts, and is more about the journey and the history rather than character growth. Aladar, despite being a good fun character, his character arc is finding a mate. It doesn't make it bad, but it doesn't make it great either. But all this adds to the realistic nature of the film, feeling a bit more like a documentary with a story involved. There is some cheesy dialogue that you can tell this film is from the 2000s, again adding to this film's narrative of being very simple, but when the film is at its best is when it's telling the story through visuals. The opening of course comes to mind, the walk across the desert where you feel the weight of the film, the characters in it feel really dark and gritty, and I really loved it, backed up by an incredible score which we will get onto later. The voice cast is all really good, with only a few actors being well known by the average person. They all do a great job of bringing their voices to life. A big reason I love animation films from this era is a lot of the voice cast are putting on a voice so that when you see how they talk regularly, it's incredibly different, which is always a welcome sight. This film was going for a much more darker tone and is a pleasant sight, especially for the time. Characters feel dark, situations feel dark, characters die in a very, very graphic way, and yeah, holy shit, I love it. We get used to Disney going dark in terms of story and themes, but in Dinosaur, it is graphically dark. There's blood, death, and lines of dialogue that make you go,
"If you ever interfere again, I'll kill you."
Jesus, Crone, you're a dick! The music of Dinosaur is still memorable to this day. Despite not watching this film in years, the music came back to me with open arms. James Newton Howard gives us an incredible score with very reminiscent of the style of The Lion King, as he worked on that film prior to this one, but with a much more epic scale. The tone of the music matches the story and animation, feeling like a mix of a documentary with an epic adventure tale. The music has a lot of African style roots, which really add to the epic style of the film. Every piece of music feels grounded and adds weight to the scene. Music in some other films can often feel like basic background music, but with Dinosaur, every piece of score feels necessary to add to the tone of the film, and it is definitely not afraid to make you feel something. Listening to the score again is definitely a delight when rewatching this film, as even though this film isn't perfect, the score definitely is. I think what makes Dinosaur so special and worthy of this review is the technology considering the time. Everyone looked at the Lion King remake as this big step up in technology, when really, Disney had already done it sort of in this movie years before. Yes, The Lion King perhaps did it more smoother, but Dinosaur does it incredibly better. Not only because the dinosaurs look ultra realistic, but their facial expressions, voice acting all feels top notch, and it is so fun to look at. It's hard to make animals look expressive in animation. In the past, Disney gave animals human characteristics in order for us to relate to them, and they do that here in such small and subtle ways that it doesn't feel like you're watching a cartoon, but it's not too realistic that you can't relate to them. There have been a lot of different style dinosaur movies, with some being much more well known than others. But Dinosaur gave us a dinosaur movie where it allows the dinosaurs to act like dinosaurs, but also allowed them to be relatable with a great score and characters. Dinosaur isn't a perfect movie. Some of its character models are a bit outdated, namely the lemurs, its story is quite basic, and its themes aren't as strong as other films. But it should be praised for its animation style of mixing animation with real-life backgrounds. This film is very much forgotten, and films like The Lion King get praised for its animation, when really Disney already did the impossible years before, and this film is miles better than The Lion King remake. But if you love dinosaurs as much as me, it will be up there as one of the better dinosaur movies ever made. So after all that, it gets my professional rating of 6 out of 10. But because of my love for dinosaurs, it's getting my personal rating of 7 out of 10. And holy god, if anything, just watch it for the score, because the music of Dinosaur is perfect. So thank you for joining me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of Dinosaur, and make sure to subscribe to the channel and be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss a single video. And of course, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all in the next one.